Good evening. Good evening and welcome back to a Darwin College lecture in our 2025 series. And we welcome today the musician Maya Youssef, an international performer and authority on her instrument, the Syrian Qanun, or Qanun, I think. The word Qanun is derived from the same ancient Greek root as the English word canon, relating to the principles and rules of law. And following the theme of this series, which of course is codes, canons are the codes of conduct and legal codes that constitute so much of our society. All classical musics develop their own codes, principles and rules, both within Western tradition, and it's easy for us to take those for granted or not even notice them. But encounters with other cultural codes can seem mysterious, intimidating, exciting, but the canon of music draws attention to the pleasures of other codes, including the canon of Qanun, if you'll excuse the pun, that Maya Youssef herself will be presenting today. She began studying music at the age of 7 in Damascus. At the age of 12, she won the Best Musician Award in Syrian's national music competition for youth, and went on to study degrees at the University of Damascus in both English and music. In 2009, she took up a position to teach both the Qanun and Arabic music in the Department of Music and Musicology at Sultan Qaboos University in Oman. And she's currently the director of the School of Oriental and African Studies Middle Eastern Ensemble at the University of London. Her research at SOAS involves investigating how music can be used as a healing tool for children in Syrian refugee camps. So please join me in welcoming Maya Youssef to deliver her lecture on the power of music, a journey back to home. Maya.
Thank you. Good evening. Thank you so much to the Master and Fellows of Cambridge University and Darwin College for having me. It's an immense pleasure and honor to be here. So if you'd excuse me while I check the tuning of my 78 strings very quickly. Okay, all is in place, so. Where is home? What is it? Is it a place? Is it an emotional state? Or is it something that is within each one of us? Can we bring it to life through music? I am not here to give definitive answers to these questions, but I'm here to share my personal stories. And in doing so, I hope to open the space to reflect on how we all seek and find a sense of belonging through music. I come from Syria, an ancient culture where music is an integral part of day-to-day life. My ancestors sang, played music in moments of worship, grief, celebration, and in their day-to-day lives. For me, personally, I grew up in a house full of books and music. And we were very fortunate to have listening sessions every night. And sometimes they were very, very eclectic. And they spanned from everything from Miles Davis to Philip Glass to Rimsky-Korsakov's Scheherazade to African choirs jamming with Johann Sebastian Bach. And then on other nights, we used to have listening sessions dedicated to the giants of Arabic music. Kulthum, Sabah Fakhri, and Fairuz. And it wasn't just only music from everywhere that I was surrounded with, but it was also books from everywhere. So our library contained everything from Finnish folk tales to the complete works of Chekhov to Arab scholar and traveler texts, fiction, non-fiction, everything in between. In fact, here is a picture of me practicing, and the yellow volumes by my side, these are the tales of Alf Layla wa Layla, the 1001 Nights. And then on my other side, on the opposite side, there are these, if you can read Arabic, it says Dostoevsky. These are the complete works of Dostoevsky. And the cassettes, I couldn't read what they say, but they contained music from everywhere. So I was very, very lucky and fortunate to grow up in such a rich environment. Since I was always tapping and singing, my parents decided to sign me up to a music conservatoire. So for a couple of years, you had to study music theory, counterpoint, harmony, and there came the big moment where you're supposed to choose one music instrument. There was such a fuss about that. And my parents suggested the violin, which I have reluctantly accepted. Sorry if there are any violinists in the room. And until something magical happened. We were heading towards the Music Institute, me and my mother, me being 8 of age, and the taxi driver turned on the radio, and there came the sound of the Qanun, and it filled the car. Everything disappeared. There was just me and the sound, and it was talking directly to me. So I told the taxi driver, "What is this instrument? This is the instrument that I want to play." And he cracked a big, loud laugh, and he said, "Oh, you are a girl. This instrument is for men. It will never happen." And I was so angry with him, you know. So I walk into my music class, and my mother was reading her book in the corridor, and that very night, fate decided that the head of the institute walks in to announce the opening of a Qanun class. And I ran after that lesson to sign up, to the astonishment of my mother. And then I had a Qanun 5 times my size waiting for me on the kitchen table after school. And that was the beginning of my lifelong relationship with this beauty. For those of you who are not familiar with the instrument, Qanun is a 78-string flux zither, and it sits at the heart of Arabic music. So it's one of the main instruments in an Arabic band, a traditional Arabic band, which would be called التخت الشرقي. And the way that you would play it is you usually pluck and alternate right and left. And you would do so with the help of these plectrums. So you just simply slide them in your index finger like that, which creates this resonant sound. You won't be able to create this sound with your bare skin, which is why you wear plectrums. But it's not just the index fingers. You use your 10 fingers in the same way that you would use your fingers to play a harp or like a piano. So you can arpeggiate, or you can strum, which means that you have a lot of textures, lots of colors. One of the key features of the Qanun is these metallic pieces fixed on the side of the instrument, all the way here. So the Qanun in literature is referred to as the piano of the Arab world. So maybe it's because of this link, because of these metallic pieces. So in a piano, you would have to press the dark keys in order to create flats and sharp. But in the Qanun, you would have to manually pull the levers up and down to create flats and sharps. So before I play any tune, I would prepare the Qanun to the Maqam, or the mode that I want, so which is what I'm doing now. I'm switching to Maqam Bayati. And then as I play, the right hand is going to play the melody, while the left hand is going to switch levers up and down. And trust me, sometimes you have a flick of a second to lift levers up and down, and if you miss your chance, too bad. So I'm just going to improvise something in Maqam Bayati. So, and just watch my left hand and see how it's doing the job of just pulling levers up and down. Did you count how many levers I did? Don't worry, I wasn't counting myself. I think it's impossible to count. The Qanun has 78 strings. Yes, that is correct. And that means you have a wide melodic range. So you have the high ephemeral note, and you have the low metallic tones that speak directly to your guts. It can be soft and poetic. And it can be loud, bold, and rambunctious. So again, lots of colors, lots of textures to play with. There is a really beautiful story about the Qanun in the 1001 Nights, the story goes that Abu Nasr al-Farabi, the 10th century well-known musicologist and theoretician, he was improving on the Qanun. And then he just came to a conclusion that the Qanun possesses some magical powers. So to test that, he took it to a gathering, and he started to play something like this. Everyone was dancing. And then he started to play something that was very sad, that perhaps sounded like this. Everyone was moved to tears. And then he played something that was so mellow and so soothing. Everybody fell asleep. Satisfied with his theory being proven correct, he left the gathering. And of course, I completely agree with him. So, for me, the Qanun has always been my companion throughout life. But when the war started in Syria, in my homeland, the Qanun and music has taken a completely different meaning for me. Before then, I never thought that I would write music. I thought, one day, if ever. But with the loss of loved ones and with the loss of places that I loved, it felt like my whole world was tipped upside down. And the only thing that made sense was music. There was a moment that changed everything for me. I was sitting watching the news in London. My son was sleeping peacefully by my side, and on the screen there was an image of a little girl who looked so much like my son. She had died in her bedroom in Damascus. So there was a whirlwind of emotions, and I held the Qanun, and tears and music started to gush out. And that was the first tune I wrote. It's called Syrian Dreams, and it's a prayer for peace. From that, thank you. Thank you so much. From that moment on, music became my spiritual practice. Instead of composing something, it became something that I logically construct. It just became a practice of listening and allowing whatever wants to come through, even when it's completely different from how the instrument is supposed to work and how it's supposed to sound. I learned to trust that voice. I want to share with you how one of my compositions came into being. When I was writing my second album, Finding Home, I was commissioned by the British Museum to write a piece of music inspired by one of the works of art inside the exhibition Reflections. It was a beautiful exhibition, very moving, about exploring notions of identity by Middle Eastern artists. So it was the end of lockdown, and I walk into a delightfully empty British museum, Qanun in hand, and I wander between the paintings to see what calls to me. And there she was. You know, she immediately drew my attention. This is a work of art called Unravelling by artist Samira Abbassy. I knew I was drawn to her, but also my logical mind kicked in and told me that, Maya, maybe you can use one of the hints in the paintings itself as a way to enter into the composition. Like, if you read Arabic, so there are names by names of songs by the diva of Arabic music, Kulthum. So there's Raq al-Habib, Hajartak, Fakaruni. Also there are names of famous composers, Ahmad Rami, Riyad al-Sanbati. And so I tried this approach of trying to use these names and melodies as an entry point into the composition. Tried that for a week and I failed miserably. So one day I was like, I just had the painting in front of me and I literally asked it, what do you want to tell me? And I went into a meditation with the intention of listening. And within a few minutes, I heard the phrase soul fever. And within like 3-4 hours, everything came together. Then, of course, I had to arrange it and had the pleasure to record it in the same gallery space, exhibition space in which Unravelling was displayed. And then there was a final full circle moment in which I got to share it with the artist herself in an online event. You still can watch it on YouTube. And what was incredible is that, as you can see, the lining notes doesn't tell you anything really about the emotional context in which the artist has created this work of art. But what was incredible is that the artist shared that she was going through a difficult time. She even described it as something like a feverish state, if I recall correctly. So it was incredible that we tuned into each other with music and art. So I'd like to play you a bit of Soul Fever. Thank you. I don't know if you can see, but these white patches here, this is fish skin actually, very thin fish skin. And therefore, because of that and because of everything in the instrument shrinks and expands. So my D went slightly higher than it should be. If you've ever been to any concert by Qanun players, tuning is part of the show. Okay? Music is a language. And just as you cannot write down words, sentences, or phrases without an understanding of the alphabet, you cannot create anything with Arabic music without an understanding of Maqam. Maqam is the modal system of the Arab world. You can think of it as the alphabet of Arabic music. And most importantly, it's a musical code that composers and performers alike use it to communicate certain emotions. And of course, this is relevant to both composed music as well as improvisation called taqasim, which is considered to be the pinnacle of Arabic music. Like any other classically trained musician, I myself use Maqam to curate musical journeys, to take the listener from a place to another. And as a Qanun and Taqsim mentor, I am very passionate about making Arabic music accessible to everyone, regardless of their cultural background, and regardless of their music training or complete lack of. So to aid in that, I created a system to teach Maqam with Lego, hence this and hence this. So these I called the Maqam building blocks. So you can think of these as the as the alphabet of Arabic music. So without becoming too nerdy, a maqam building block is a mini scale of 3, 4, or 5 consecutive notes with certain intervals between them. So the key word here is an interval, because the interval is what gives the maqam its identity. So just to have a loose understanding of what's an interval, it's a musical step. So you can take a large musical step, you can take a small musical step. Yeah? And if we go back to let's just meet this maqam building block. So this is called rast. This is how it sounds like. Rast in Arabic music is considered to be, or just I'm going to unwind. So, yes, so each building block exudes a certain emotion. And if we go back to rast, rast is the major of Arabic music, yeah? So if I am going to play something like this, to someone from an Arab descent, they're going to start to slowly sway. They're going to experience an instant upliftment. And if I play it long enough, if I establish the maqam in the ear of the listener long enough, then I am going to create something called tarab. Tarab is a heightened state of emotion. It's a heightened state of pleasure, and in its highest form, it's a trance-like state for both the performer and the composer. If anybody has seen a concert by the diva of Arabic music, Kulthum, and you see how the audience member lose their mind, you'll know what I mean. So, and rast here is a tarab machine. Why? Because it has a quarter tone in its third note. So in Arabic music, microtonality is one of the easiest ways to tarab. And microtonality is something super important in Arabic music, yeah? So I'll go into that in a second, but just before I switch to my next slide. So here I have built a whole maqam. So an entire maqam is a chain of these mini scales, yeah? But it all starts here. The heart of Arabic music is the maqam building block. So going back to how microtonality works in Arabic music. In Western music, you work in half steps. So you have flats and sharps. In Arabic music, there are like steps in between. So quarter steps, therefore creating quarter tones. So, and you can see it here. And this graph is inspired by Abu Nasr Farabi, if you remember him, from 1001 Nights. He argued in his seminal book, Al-Musiq al-Kabir, the great book of musicians, he said that tone in Arabic music is divided into 4 equal quarters. Yeah? And that is reflected so beautifully in the Qanun. It's perfect. Look, every note, we have 4 levers. 4 levers, 4 quarters. Before I give you a demonstration of how the quarters are put into action, so the way the levers work is that the levers control the tension of the string. So I pull a lever up, I increase tension of the string, the tone goes up. I pull a lever down, I decrease tension of the string, the tone goes down. So now I'm gonna go from the note E to the note E double flat. So try to listen to the notes in between. So Rast has an E half flat. And again, this signals to anybody from an Arab country that this is like it's a tarab machine. It's gonna almost certainly just make me, uplift me into that state of enjoyment. But for those of you who are not used to microtonality, you might think plainly that's out of tune. And just, you know, just strange. So it's interesting how different sounds mean different things to different people, depending on the cultural upbringing. So going back to Rast is one of two maqamat that has an absolutely fixed emotional fingerprint. So Rast is grandeur, enjoyment, expansiveness. On the other hand, the other maqam that has an absolutely fixed character is Saba. You might remember it from when Abu Nasr Farabi made everybody cry. There's a consensus that this is the weeping maqam. It exudes grief. And there's nothing I can do to change the character of this maqam. However, this is not the case for most other maqamat. Maqamat is the plural of maqam, by the way. In Arabic music, most maqamat are malleable. I can shape them to communicate whatever emotion that I wish. So take maqam Hijaz, for instance. You met maqam Hijaz already in Soul Fever. That was intense, wasn't it? That was fiery. But Hijaz also can be quite mellow, can be, you know, nostalgic. And with the right phrasing, Hijaz even can be jolly. So, same maqam, different faces. So, when I moved to the UK, I instantly noticed that maqam Hijaz is the stereotypical sound of the exotic East. So, every time there is, you know, a portrayal of that exotic East, whether it's sand dunes or, you know, ancient Egypt, something like this is being played. Am I right or am I right? Yes, it's everywhere. It's lures of Arabia, adverts of Turkish delight, you know, desert level, you know, in Super Mario. It's everywhere, it's everywhere. And I just don't know how Hijaz became, you know, the stereotype of you know, stereotypical sound of the exotic East. So I didn't like to put in a box, and I just wanted to tease this playfully. So I wrote my own rendition of jazz using maqam Hijaz, and the outcome is a piece called He/Jazz. Here it is. Thank you. Thank you so much. Of course, hearing Maqam Hijaz or any other Maqam, being played on the Qanun evokes something very deep in anyone who comes from a Syrian or Arabic background. It awakens something very visceral, a feeling of being home. This email from one of my beautiful supporters says it all. And it never ceased to blow my mind how something can, as simple as sound, can evoke such powerful feeling of being home. And you can see it physically on the face of this man who has found the Qanun under the rubbles of the city of Homs in Syria during the war. I think this is taken 2015. And look at his face. He looks like he won the lottery, which he did. Once I was performing in a refugee camp, and a sweet little boy came to me and he said that your music brought me back the beautiful memories of Syria and the smell of lemon and jasmine. It's always very humbling when I hear something like that. And for me, when the war was breaking, I couldn't go home, but I wanted to bring home to me. I was born in Damascus. That's where I was raised and educated, so I wanted to pay tribute to my city. So I wrote a 7-section suite inspired by the 7 gates of Damascus. So Damascus is built in alignment with 7 planets in order to bring peace and prosperity for the people of the city. That's according to the main historian who documented the history of the city, Ibn Asakir. And so in alignment with these 7 planets, there are 7 gates. And if you ever go to Damascus and look at these gates, there should be a sign that says, this gate is connected to this planet. So this basically, I wanted to write a 7-section suite dedicated to Damascus, but then I thought of Al-Kindi's theory of cosmology, in which he connected certain planets to certain maqamat. So, of course, I loosely interpreted it and wrote the 7 gates of Damascus. Each section represents a gate. It has its own maqam, its own emotion. And I'm not going to play you the whole thing because it's a 10-minute piece of music. Well, I'll play you the last 2 gates. The gate of the moon, Bab al-Faradis, Bab means gate, and the gate of the sun, Bab Shar'i. And Bab, the tune for Bab Shar'i is a Syrian tune that everybody knows. It's such a powerful tune that when I play it, those who come from the Levant either start to laugh or cry, or both at the same time. But most importantly, it just evokes such a powerful feeling of I'm home. So I'll just play you the last 2 gates. And of course, everything you're hearing today, this is just reinterpreted for solo Qanun. Usually I have my band, so here are the last 2 gates. And of course, you know, it's not just Syrians who react to music in this way. I'm blessed to have an international audience that comes from all over the world. And one of the greatest privileges for me as a performing artist is just seeing very closely the effect of music has on people and how it brings them to their center. And I think it's just because it goes directly to the heart and soul of a person and bypasses all our guards, just going directly to our core of our being. And Shakespeare says it beautifully. If music be the food of love, play on. And to me, music is love. So let's just put this into practice. Let's close your eyes, take a deep breath, and just let the sound carry you. What did it evoke? I'm sure it's going to be something different for each one of you. For me, I see my role as an artist is to take the collective human experience, the collective consciousness, if you wish, the good, the bad, the ugly, and the beautiful, and to alchemize it into something more human, softer, more relatable, and perhaps even something healing. In a time of great change, music will always be a constant, a refuge, and a thread that ties us all to something deeper, something familiar. No matter where we are or what we are experiencing, every single one of us has the power to reclaim a sense of being home through music, right here, right now. To me, the act of playing music is a life and hope affirming act. And to end with, I would like to finish with a piece of music called Walk With Me. When I wrote it, I saw a vision of all humanity walking together towards a better, more compassionate future for everyone and the earth. This is not just a piece of music, it's an invitation. Thank you. Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Can you go around there?
Come back, please.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Maya, thank you so much. For me, that was really both a deeply moving personal journey, but combined with a music lesson and a lesson in Arabic history. And more than that, for me at least, you demonstrated how music, at least the composition and performance of your music, just unravels, in a sense, the code of art, music, literature, language, and human emotions. So thank you so much. Really wonderful.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Okay.
So please do come back next week when we have Dr. Tom Crawford, who will share his favourite examples of how mathematical modelling can be used to answer questions about the world we live in. And his talk, of course, is entitled Using Maths to Decode the Universe. So we will see you all again. And once more, thank you so much.
Oh, thank you. You're very kind. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Really well. Absolutely wonderful.
Thank you.